Oh, hi, audience. What's up? It's Greg Sestero here to introduce you to the True Blue Riffcast, where they talk about amazing movies, bad movies, and everything in between. So you're listening to the True Blue Riffcast. Enjoy it.
Thanks, Greg. The one and only Mark from the room, Greg Sestero himself, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm Jeremy, and with me, as always, is...
Hey, everybody, I'm Dave. Dude, Greg Sestero is such a cool guy. I cannot begin to tell you what a cool guy he is. I mean...
That is so awesome. I'm so excited to have that for an intro. This is, of course, the True Blue Riffcast, the number one Riff Tracks podcast in the world. And we are starting season 2 right now. It was supposed to start last week, but we had some technical glitches.
App. Who had them?
I had them this time.
All right.
For once, it was my fault. So we're trying again this week. Everything's running much smoother right now. Coming up today, we're going to be talking about the newest Riff Tracks release, Sunset Strip. We're also going to be taking a look at the VOD Supersonic Man and the short Someday.
Someday.
So how's it going, Dave?
Well, today is January 26, 2020. And a little bit earlier today, we got the very unexpected news.
Yeah.
That NBA superstar and basketball legend Kobe Bryant and unfortunately his daughter were killed in a fiery helicopter crash. It's pretty terrible. He's only a couple years older than me, man. I mean, like, I don't know. It's like I tuned out of basketball around 2005, but he was still a huge force back then, even.
Oh, yeah.
Even when, because I'm from Utah, I'm a big Jazz fan. The Jazz have sucked for a long time, but he was still playing on the Lakers when we were playing them to get to the finals in the 90s, late 90s, all that stuff. When that news broke, it just it really I don't know what it was about it, but it just hit home, and I was just like, oh, it was like a gut punch, because I looked at he's only 2 years older than me, and it's just like anybody can go at any time in fiery helicopter crashes with their children, and I'm just like, okay, that's terrible.
Yeah, my buddy sent me a text, and he's like, dude, Kobe died, and I'm like, what? No, what are you talking about? The first thing I did...
Your first instinct is to not believe it.
I went on Twitter, and it wasn't trending. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I went on ESPN, and it said, Kobe Bryant passed away, and it was 20 minutes ago. I'm like, whoa, that just happened then.
Yeah.
It was really bizarro. It's just one of those things. It's not when somebody who's up there in years passes, you're like, oh, that sucks.
What's his name from Monty Python?
But it's expected. Yeah. It's at least a little more expected with that.
Yeah.
But when it's somebody who's the same age that you are.
Yeah, that can kick you in the balls a little bit,
Yeah.
And
rest in peace, Kobe
Bryant. He had an amazing life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway,
let's move on to to something a little more lighthearted and take a look at the weekend box office. I feel really weird going from that to this, but welcome back from the edit, folks.
Never let it be said that I don't know how to turn something terrible and awful to something so hysterically untasteful that Jeremy has to remove it completely from the show.
Yeah.
And you'll never know what it is unless you're a Patreon patron.
And it's not anything too horrible.
No, not really, no.
Our number one movie for the second week in a row, Bad Boys for Life. Followed up by 1917, which I still need to see. Number 3, Doolittle, which has a scene with a gorilla punching a tiger in the nuts.
What? No, no. Okay, you cannot say that and expect me to. No, we have to talk about that. Are you serious? Say that again.
There is a scene where a gorilla punches a tiger in the nuts. And the tiger's name is Barry. And the tiger says, "Oh, my berries."
I have to see this movie.
I am not even joking about that, guys.
I have to see this. No. Tomorrow, I'm seeing the matinee. I don't care.
Our number 4 movie is The Gentleman and Jumanji: The Next Level, wrapping up the top 5.
Whoa, where's Star Wars?
7.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. That is a little bit unfortunate. But now we're going to just truck right along and we're going to get into our short reviews of Riff Track Shorts.
Yes!
For today's short review of Riff Track Shorts, we are going to take a look at one of the more recent releases. This one is called Someday. And this short starts out kind of mundane. It's a bunch of little kids in the 70s. One's, painting, one's hammering something. Another one's throwing a ball at a wall outside. Then we go back to the first one who's painting. She's painting an apple. And she turns to the camera and says, "Someday I want to go to the supermarket." And then we see this little kid tearing ass through a supermarket, dropping watermelons on the floor and breaking them all over the place and throwing a bunch of fruit and stuff in the cart. Fairly standard fare at this point. And then we go to the next kid, the one who was hammering on a piece of wood, and now he's drilling with a little hand drill, because that's something you want 5-year-olds to do.
That's what I was doing when I was 5.
And he says, "Someday I want to ride on a boat."
Dream big there, big guy.
And then it cuts to the kid on a sailboat, all by himself, floating through San Francisco, the little harbor there, the bay there. And okay, this is kind of weird. And it shows the kid literally by himself in the boat. And he looks like he's trying to smile, but you can tell that he is scared as hell. This kid is terrified out of his mind.
I believe it. I mean,
like, people are waving at him, and he's just waving back with one of those forced smiles on his face.
Like, let me out of here.
Please help me. I'm scared. And then we get to the second little girl who has a crazy look on her face. And she turns to the camera and says, "Someday I'm going to go to zoo."
That's how kids talk, though.
And then she's running around a zoo. And we see all kinds of fun stuff, like tigers fighting, which is something that you want to show on a film for little children. She's like petting a goat, and a chimpanzee jumps into her arms, and it's crazy. And it comes back, and she's got like tiger stripes painted all over her face, and she's roaring at the camera, and it's ridiculous. And she's clearly insane. Like, my 5-year-old is insane too, and this one's just like mine. Like, I haven't come home to see, tiger stripes painted on my 5-year-old's face yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Yeah, and she's just running around roaring, probably chasing the dogs. Our last kid, the one who was throwing the ball against the wall, says that he wants to go to a baseball game. And then we see like some minor league baseball thing going on for a couple minutes. And then all of a sudden they're climbing onto a helicopter. And the end. And it's the best kind of short, where it just makes no sense. It's just crazy. And there's a lot of good riffs in this one. They do tell the girl who said she wants to go to the supermarket to aim big. Way to go. They talk about the crazy zoo girl and how the Make-A-Wish Foundation got off easy with that one. That's probably the part I laughed at the most in the whole short. Outstanding short, guys. This one, I'm going to say it, this is a true blue essential.
Nice.
for any Riff Tracks fan.
I think you said that the last time we did this. I can't be sure.
Yes, I did. I sure did. Now we're going to go on from the shorts to the not so shorts, and we're going to take a look at the most recent release from Riff Tracks, Sunset
Oh,
Strip.
God.
A sleazy mid-'80s
Okay, look, no,
murder mystery drama thing. I don't know what the hell to call this thing.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, the first thing I would call it is a gigantic pile of crap. Dude, it's so bad. This might that okay. It's one of the it's one of the worst Riff Tracks selections as far as movie selection goes, because we all love pancakes. But this movie is just bad. It's pretty terrible. Yeah,
Oh, it's
you
terrible.
finally got a chance to watch
dog
it.
crap, like literally.
Yeah. What? Give us a rundown, and I'm sure I'll interrupt you as I do while I have my thoughts.
Okay, so we have our main character whose name escapes me because nobody cares.
It's Richter.
Richter?
Richter. That's what we'll call him until we remember his name. Hold on.
We got to make sure we're looking at the right Sunset Strip too while we're looking this up.
Yeah, I know, because how many Sunset Strips are there?
There was like 4. Oh, look at that! It actually came up the first time.
Oh.
Let's see. Mark. Yes, it's Mark.
Oh, that's right, because there's a joke in it about
his name is Mark. Okay, let me start that over. Because they make a good joke about that.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah, okay. So Sunset Strip gives us our main character, Mark, who is a photographer, but apparently he only photographs breakdancers. Like, that's all he does.
Yeah, he's a hobbyist.
Yeah. And he ends up at a bar that one of his friends owns. And the guy's like, look, these people are trying to get money from me so that they can shut me down. And, if I don't pay them off, and I'm going to pay this guy out behind the club, and I want you to take pictures and get their faces in there. And, we're going to take these people down. And he goes out and makes payment. The guy is taking the pictures, and then Baldy Goon, generic guy number 1, comes out and knocks him out. And when he comes to, he's got a gun right next to him. So, of course, he picks the gun up. And then he sees the back doors open, and he goes inside. And what happens? Oh, the guy who owned the bar is dead, shot right in the head with the gun that the guy picked up, because of course.
Yeah, no, okay.
So he gets arrested, but they have to let him go, much to the dismay of one of the detectives, who's literally like punching him, and like he's like, no, you need to give this guy murder 1. He did it. We literally have a smoking gun. But they have to let him go.
It's not unreasonable to think that he's the one that did it.
Yeah, I would think that. I mean,
okay,
he's standing there over the guy with the gun in his hand, and the guy's got a bullet in his brain. So that would be the first assumption for most people, I think.
Yeah.
So he gets released, and he has to try and figure out who's doing it, who set him up, and how to take him down. And it is one of the most boring journeys that I've ever seen in that particular partaking. It's so bad, guys. It's so slow. It's so slow.
Like, okay, so a few things about this movie. The opening scene of this movie is, it's. I say this a lot on this podcast. It's hard to even talk about. Here's the setup. Okay, he goes and he's a photographer, but he's not a full-time photographer. What he does is it's his hobby to go photograph people breakdancing. Okay, now we open up, and there are these 2 breakdancers, and our guy, Richter, is not there yet. Um, and they're dancing, and these three like people, I don't even want to call them like thugs or whatever. They come up like, "Hey, nice breakdancing," and they just kind of like look at each other. And then they pick up their boombox and they run, yeah, and they like run away or something, right? And like, oh, we're gonna get away. Like, hey man, that's our boombox, right? So they chase after him. Like, they start the chase starts, but then Mark or Richter or whatever. I'm just gonna keep calling him Richter. Richter. Richter popped up like, "Hey, what's going on here?" "Oh, nothing, man." Right? And they like, "Yeah, here, take the boombox," and they run away and be like, "Okay, here's your boombox." Right? So it's here's your boombox, and well, I have to go back to Tendon Bar, even though my breakdancing photography is not really going to come up much in the plot, right? So he goes. And I guess he goes back to the bar. I can't remember if he goes back to the bar first or if he goes to his apartment with his. Oh, God.
No, first he goes and takes pictures of other breakdancers because that's when we get like all the opening credits and everything is over that
Okay.
stuff.
Oh, okay. And but
And then he goes back to his apartment.
Okay. So he goes back to his apartment, and like I don't know if I've cringed harder ever. I mean, like I've rolled my eyes pretty hard, but I don't think I've cringed harder than I cringed at this horny landlady who it's just like no, stop.
But we get one of my favorite riffs right here. She just opens his door and comes in his apartment, and she says, "Hello, Mark." And Kevin gets all indignant. "That's not how you
Angrily.
greet a Mark in a bad movie."
Thanks a lot, Greg. We love you.
Yes. Oh man, some of my favorite riffs in this movie, like uh, we see a Paperboy, and we get a joke about the game Paperboy, about how he's not being chased by a tornado or the Grim Reaper. I thought that was good. Anytime that the strippers show up on screen,
Oh
yes,
no! Oh god!
there's
Yeah.
strippers in
So
this movie. You can hear the disdain in the guys' voices because they're just like, ah, like every time. And there's like 3 or 4 times that this happens, and they just like, not again. We shouldn't
right.
see this again. And why? What is one of the main reasons, Dave, that they don't want to see these strippers?
Okay. Look. Here's the thing. Like so much of like the movie's plot progression. Anytime there's a phone call at this horrific strip club, right? The only phone in this strip club is at a table in front of. I mean, it's like where they conduct all their business. It's like where they, talk to like
It's like
their
right
tax
next to the
guy.
stage.
Yeah, it's right next to a stage. It's where they talk to like their tax guy. It's and like where they have like all their evil doing business is like right there in front of the stage where these strippers. It's 2020. I'm not going to disparage them because of how I feel that they look. And it was a different time. It was 1980, but you just see all these topless women with their 80s hair and their highly muscled butts. Like I said, it was a different time. And it's just like
Yeah,
I
they
don't
looked like
want to
they were
see that.
almost like fitness models or something that they paid a
Yeah,
little
it's just
extra,
like
you know?
to like show their boobs. And it's like it just looks like they all just kill it on leg day, you know.
And they probably do. One of the other scenes in a different strip club that's also a brothel.
Ugh.
Our character, our main guy, Mark, goes to this other club, and the lady up on stage is clothed. You can see through the top, but she is clothed. And there's a really terrible band playing there, and they say you can see how 80s this is from space. I really
It's
like that
true.
one. But I think my favorite thing was the phone call drinking game.
What? Every time there's a phone call. No, like I would dare say
There's a lot of phone calls in
about
this movie.
45% of the plot progression is through phone calls.
I did a tally after they made the riff about the phone call drinking game. There were a total of 11 phone calls in this movie.
And it's not like 24 where like you could like take your phone with you. It's not, it's like Jack Bauer, where he's talking to Tony and being like, like the Russians have the bomb, Tony. I know. It's just,
I'm standing right here.
I'm standing right next to you when it
it's,
happened. Why do you need to remind me about this, Tony?
It's 11 phone calls. So if you were actually taking a drink every time somebody made a phone call in this movie, you might actually be enjoying the movie because you would be drunk.
This is
it
not
just
an
wouldn't
easy
matter
movie
anymore.
to enjoy, I have to say. I mean,
No.
this is probably one of the more, like, I think it's probably the most Cinemax After Dark Riff Tracks has ever gotten.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, like, yeah.
This is the perfect example of talking about when we talk about how much the people at Riff Tracks have to endure when they're writing.
I would not
the
have
jokes
wanted
for
to
these
write. I
movies,
would not have done it. I would have, like,
because
no.
they have to watch these movies numerous times, or at least parts of it. And
Mike
this
said
end me.
that it's at least 8. They got to watch the movies from front to back.
I could barely make it through this riff.
I'm not watching this one again. I'm not going to do it.
The riffs are really good.
No,
the riffs
the riffs are good. No, but I'm just saying, there's like the movie itself is just filth. It's trash.
I don't think I could make it. I don't think I could make it through this one again. Maybe 10 years down the road or something, when I'm like just going through a bunch of them and I'm like, oh, let's watch this one again. Let's move on from that slog fest and let's talk about another VOD. One that I would say is oft forgotten.
Yeah.
You never hear people talking about it.
Hold on.
We are going to take a look.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna do intro with the theme music.
No, we're not talking about Superman or Star Wars. We're talking about Supersonic Man. Oh my gosh, this movie is interesting.
I love it. It's a I would dare say this movie came out in 2013, which I think is probably one of the more successful years.
Yep.
Content-wise, Riff Tracks has ever had.
Yep. That's probably why this one gets lost like it did.
Yeah. So you have 2013, and it's the first year of just like solid VODs. I think we had a couple of MP3s at the beginning of the year, but whatevs. Oh right, that earlier that year we had the unofficial close of the blockbuster era, so to speak, with Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yep.
And but Supersonic Man came, I think it was October 2013? It was October or November 2013, I want to say. And it's a superhero. It's an Italian knockoff. Now, like when you first like look at Supersonic Man, like, oh, this is just going to be, they're going to try to knock off Superman, which they do. In that great Italian knockoff tradition that they have, like if we want to go in the not Riff Tracks vein of that, I think probably the most famous Italian knockoff is probably Star Crash. And I think probably The Last Shark, as far as Riff Tracks is concerned, or lest I forget Ghost House. But Ghost House isn't really ripping anything off. I don't know what Ghost House is ripping off.
No, it's just kind of its own thing.
Yeah. But The Last Shark definitely is just Italian ripoff of Jaws. They do it in this just the most amazing way that only Italian knockoffs really can. So they really do have like that special feel. But they added a lot more elements. Like there's a lot of elements in Supersonic Man that aren't in Star Wars, and they're really more aesthetic, kind of like tone, like feel of the movies that Supersonic Man has. And I think the other big influence, amazingly, is Star Wars. Like, so what they wanted to do is they took uh, Superman and the tone of Star Wars and they just clumped them together. And obviously, the biggest shout out to Star Wars in this is what is it? May the force of the galaxy be with me, or something.
Yeah, it's something dumb like
Yeah,
that.
it's like it's very obvious and not, and it's just like super cringe. And you
Yeah.
see oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this movie makes Puma Man look like Batman.
Yeah, that's the other big comparison with Riff Tracks fans. Obviously, there was a show called Mystery Science Theater 3000 where in the sci-fi years, Kevin and Bill riffed a movie called The Puma Man, which is a very famous entry in Mystery Science Theater 3000. And there are many references to Puma Man in Supersonic Man.
Yeah.
The riff itself. So I mean, okay, let's duke it out. Like, who would win in a fight, Puma Man or Supersonic Man? I mean,
probably Supersonic
yeah,
Man.
I think so too. Because Supersonic Man is actually, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. Supersonic Man is actually like, he's like his powers. I mean, they're gifted to him, sort of, but he's just like this alien. Like, I don't know what the heck he is. Like, he's like
he was like an alien that came down and became Superman. I mean, that's really what it is.
So like in that way, it's like that's a Superman element of it. Puma Man is like this. I. It's this dork. I mean, who
it's like
fights
the greatest
belt.
American hero.
Yeah. He just kind of like stumbles into like his powers and he's not very good. I mean, at least Supersonic Man is sort of like competent. Like, at least Supersonic Man can fly straight around the World Trade Center. But anyway, we're getting off course.
Supersonic Man's power, of course, he can fly. He can turn guns into bananas. Which is very important.
And he can lift cardboard. He can lift cardboard, waterlogged cardboard tractors up over his head and let VW Beetles go around him.
That is seriously the worst scene in that movie, right there. Like, as far as
shake hands with Danger Man, yeah. Because it's just like what were you like? What? It's like, how could you even expect anybody to buy that? And it's like it wasn't even shot at a distance. It's like right up on it.
No, it was right on it. It was close up, baby. That's the only way to go. I'll give you listeners
the steamroller.
Here's a good frame of reference.
The steamroller.
Yeah. Here's a good frame of reference for what to expect when you watch Supersonic Man. This movie was directed by Juan Peter Simon, who most people know as the director of Pod People.
Oh, that's right.
Also a movie featured on Mystery Science Theater. So you kind of know what to expect quality-wise with that. Speaking of Pod People, and we've mentioned Puma Man, I kind of hope this year, because we should be finding out soon what our live shows entail.
Yeah, because Kickstarter should be starting soon.
We're very close to that. It's usually like the middle of February.
Yeah, around this time.
But in the last few seasons, they've been redoing Mystery Science Theater movies. We got Time Chasers, we got Space Mutiny, Giant Spider Invasion,
Manos.
We've got all these redos, and I love it. I want to see more.
Me too. I'm all for it.
And these two that we talked about, Puma Man, Pod People especially, because honestly, that's one of my most watched Mystery Science Theater episodes of all time, and I would love to see a fresh take on it.
And I think it would be good to get the Mike, Kevin, Bill lineup on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. A different take on it.
Bring that into the Riff Tracks canon. I would be a fan of that.
The other one would still exist. They're not ruining the original version of the riff. If they ever do re-riff Pod People, I would probably watch both of them equally. Same as with man, I was thinking about this. I really hope they could redo like Hobgoblins.
Yeah, Hobgoblins,
Or,
Final Sacrifice.
That the Russian Finnish
the Russian Jack Frost.
Jack Frost. God, I love that one. I absolutely love that one. They'd have to go by a different title for it though, because they already have a Jack Frost in the
Yeah, they already have
library.
a Jack Frost. Yeah,
But I'd be
well,
okay
to
with
stop them from Scared to Death. But that's a little different.
Yeah. But I know that Jack Frost did have a couple other names to it. I don't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I do remember that.
Michael Keaton? I'm just kidding.
No, not that one. Never that one.
I know.
But there's so much that they could redo that I would love to see. Again, a fresh take on everything. The unedited version of the movie. The dream one for me, a redo would be This Island Earth.
Yeah, I think
they
so too.
made them chop that movie up so bad. It was shorter than a regular episode of Mystery Science Theater. Come on.
Yeah, that's another one.
I don't think it would ever happen because,
we said Hobgoblins, we said Final Sacrifice, we said This Island Earth, Puma Man, Pod People. I'm trying to think what
Devil Doll. I would like a re-riff for that one. That's another one of my personal favorites. The Undead. That would be a good one, and I kind of had pushed that one out of my mind a little bit until the other day on my Facebook memories. I had a quote that I posted, and it was, me help, attacked I'm being, hitting me stop you must, God dear bleeding am I, break my leg think I did you. And that's from The Undead, and that was another one that I watched multiple times. And I would love to see a fresh take on any of them. Any of the Mystery Science Theater movies. Sorry, guys. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is out of bounds for me.
Yeah.
Redo it.
Overdrawn to the memory bank?
Oh. If they could get their hands on the rights to that one, I would love a re-riff of Overdrawn at the Memory Bank. Any excuse to give us more Raul Julia and Riff Tracks together, yeah, I'm all for it. But yeah, so we're kind of getting off track here a little bit. We were talking about Supersonic Man.
What else is there really to say about Supersonic Man? I mean, it's
a really good riff.
They have a drunk in it.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't scripted as a drunk. The guy probably just didn't want to live with the fact that he was in this movie. That was the only way he could deal with it.
Man, yeah.
Was if he was drunk.
Let's keep talking about this, though. Let's keep talking about Riff Tracks Live. I mean, because it's relevant.
It is, because it's coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are your hopes and dreams for Riff Tracks Live in the future? I know we've talked about it before, but let's say riffed or unriffed from. Okay, we already talked about MST3K re-riffs, so we don't need to go over that again. What about stuff that hasn't been riffed, or let's talk about maybe stuff from Riff Tracks? I mean, like, I know my solid go-tos are, I've always wanted, I think it needs to happen, but I'm not sure if Fathom Events would want to broadcast either of these two movies, The Guy from Harlem and Roller Gator.
Guy from Harlem would be an amazing live show. And I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Roller Gator, it's not gonna happen. Like
that's so divisive.
That's definitely a dream that will never come true, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, I want it so bad. And not just because I want to piss everybody off. I do, but that's not the only reason. I want a Roller Gator live show so bad. It hurts my face to think about.
I just don't think people would go see it.
Or not if they knew. We would have to trick them. We would have to tell them that they're getting something awesome. And then when they got in the theater, screw you, Roller Gator.
And then lock the doors. Wait, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, Unriffed, the dream, the dream live show, and I know a lot of other people really want this to happen too, and this is definitely just a matter of rights being too expensive.
Hold on, wait. I think if let me see if I can get this. Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe.
That's what I thought.
That movie is god awful, and if they could ever do a riff of it, it would be probably one of their highest ticket sales for live shows throughout the country.
Canon movies are tricky, though. Canon movies are super tricky.
But there's so much good stuff in there that they could do. Oh my god, if they could ever.
I think I got the one perfect one, which is the apple from Canon.
Yeah. If they could get any more,
like
Hercules,
Superman 4, super problematic.
Yeah, that would never happen. Lou Ferrigno Hercules would be a great canon film for them to do. What's the other one that I was just thinking
Life
about?
Force.
Life. I don't know. That one's got a lot of nudity in it, Dave.
Well, we just spent half an hour talking about highly muscled butts.
Yeah, but they don't want to do that for a live show.
They did Starship Troopers,
and they gorillagrammed it because
they sure did
things in nudity, even though they screwed up.
And they did The Room, but
you have to leave that in with The Room because it's part of.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, it's because it's of a piece. Yeah.
You know, I don't. Any of the other movies that I really want them to do, I don't think I would want necessarily as a live show because I think they would do better as a VOD than a straight up live show.
Or MP3s.
Yeah. Like if they ever actually did Light Blast or Carver's Gate, you know, those would have to be VODs.
Those would have to be VODs, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Aside from the ones we've already talked about, I mean, anything really. I don't care. I just want to be able to watch them this year. That's all I care about. I want to be able to go to my local Goodrich Quality Theater.
Oh God.
And watch the live shows. I will never let this die until they fix it. I'm sorry.
How far away do you live from Detroit?
Detroit is a 1.5 to 2 hour drive depending on traffic.
Where did you go last time?
I had to go to Lansing, Michigan, the state capital, which is I've heard of Lansing. It's a little bit farther than Detroit from where I am. It took me a total of 3.5 hours there and back for the trip.
Yeah.
And that it was longer than it took me to watch Star Raiders in the theater.
Hey man, I don't want to hear it. You know how long it took me? I traveled for like a day not a day, but I actually flew to Memphis to see RiffTrax Live.
Yeah,
Mothra.
Here we go. Okay, you want to give me a hard time about complaining about not being able to see the live shows? Yeah. I see how it's gonna be.
That's another thing about the upcoming Kickstarter is that, and yes, everybody, they still have to do it, and it's fine. It is fine that they still do it. And we might not be getting as many live shows as we usually do this year. Also, it's fine.
And we might get more than we got last year. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying I don't really care which way it is. And you know, and we've talked about this before, as far as, you know, people complaining about the Kickstarter. But what they don't understand is this is expensive for them to do. And
it's
they're
also
a company,
tiny company.
Yeah, they're like 16 people. They're small. You know,
did they hire another person? It's up to 16 people now.
I don't know. It might still be 15. I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers recently. But still, that's tiny. That's like a mom and pop business like level of employees. You know, it's just slightly above that. It's not they're not a big company. So for them to be able to afford to put this on, they have to pay, you know, they got to pay for the satellite feeds, they got to pay for the theater space, they got to pay for lodging for all the people that work there that are going.
That they have to build.
They got to build the sets. You know, there's a ton of stuff that goes into this. And I get people not understanding that maybe, but like, you know, to complain about it, it really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I know. I know there are people who, I guess, I would dare say there's one person that I know that is very annoyed by the fact that they do Kickstarters every year. I don't think this person listens to the podcast, but I'm still not going to mention this person by name. It just kind of irks me that, like, what is it? But anyway, the upcoming Kickstarter is that it's like, okay, so I've been meaning to get back to Nashville, and I haven't been there this year. It'll be 4 years that I haven't been to Nashville, and I've only been once.
You know when
But
I
that's
went?
just like the thing.
You know when I went?
Never.
Never. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of hoping that there's a title that just kind of like compels me to be like, okay, I don't care if I'm flat broke. I am going to Nashville for this riff.
Yeah. I really hope that there's something big. I think we're gonna get something surprising this year. Like,
Well, we always do.
well, no, but I mean like an actual like true surprise. Like we're gonna see it and we're gonna go, holy crap! I didn't think they would ever be able to do one of these movies or something like that. That's what I feel like, and I don't think it's gonna be Masters of the Universe, because like I said, that's like a dream. That's almost probably on the level of Roller Gator getting a live show. But I think we're gonna get something that's gonna shock us.
Yeah, like I was shocked back in
At least
2015.
I hope we do.
5 years ago now, when they announced that it was going to be The Room for the Crappening, and I was like,
Oh yeah, that
"What?"
was a
That
big
was
one.
a shock.
And I think it might almost be on that level. That's my guess. I'm
Wow.
gonna say it
Mm.
that it's gonna be almost on that level because it's gonna be something recognizable. I think not necessarily if it's another Mystery Saints Theater redo, but I think there's gonna be something that we're just gonna be like, whoa, holy crap! I can't believe they're doing this, and I think that might be your movie to go to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my guess. Obviously, we have no idea what the hell's going on.
No, we
We're just
really
as lost
don't.
as you guys are.
They don't talk
And
to us.
I wish we knew what was going
No,
on.
okay. They talk to us. They talk to us, but they don't like share. They don't tell us anything. I don't.
No,
like this is a like this is an idea that people have about me and probably about you.
Yeah.
That we have insider knowledge, guys. We don't.
I've gotten questions before on Twitter, because I talk so much about Rift Tracks on there that people think I work for them, and I've had questions about Rift Tracks. I'm like, I don't know, guys.
I literally have had local reporters who want to do who wanted to do a Rift Tracks piece in like kind of like a Where Are They Now kind of thing, and somebody from like it was a local reporter that I know personally, like outside of like all this, call me on my phone and start asking me questions about Rift Tracks, which is fine, but he started asking me about stuff that like I wouldn't know, and I'm like, bro, I have no idea.
We know just as much as everybody else. I mean, the only reason that we might know more about certain things pertaining to Rift Tracks is because we've seen it all. Like, you know, we've devoted so much time to what's already out there. You know, but that's it. Our knowledge ends at the same place everybody else's does.
So also, we're both fanatics.
Yeah.
And we do a Rift Tracks podcast.
Yeah, we do a Rift Tracks podcast. Ask my wife; she knows how crazy I am about this, and it drives her.
And by the way, in case you didn't know, it's the #1 Rift Tracks podcast in the world.
In the world.
The whole world.
Yeah, and hey, if you want to support us, you can head over to patreon.com/TrueBlueRiffcast, and you can do things like vote in the patron poll, which is going to be going up in just a couple days here. And our first patron poll of season 2 is going to consist of these 3 choices. Are you ready?
Okay, good.
This is a surprise to everyone, even to Dave.
This is a surprise to me. Viva Knievel better be in there.
Yes, Viva Knievel is in here, Dave.
Are you
How
serious?
did you know? No, I'm crossing one off and writing Viva Knievel right now. Okay, so for our first patron poll of the season 2, we've got The Last Shark,
Nice.
Viva Knievel,
Yes.
and Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Oh, I could go for any of those.
So you can vote on that. You can get some exclusive outtakes. There've only been a handful posted, but I will be posting more, obviously, as time goes on.
I think there's probably going to be some from this one.
Probably. You might even get a little bit of the impromptu song stylings of me. Unfortunately, I'm going to be assailing your eardrums.
We had some pre-recording shenanigans happening,
and you also get a sneak peek as to what we're going to be talking about the full episode before we record it. So, and some other little fun stuff in there. And you know there we go again.
What?
My brain stopped again. So that's going to do it for us this week. On that note, I'm Jeremy. You can find me at pbnawesome.com.
I'm so happy.
You can send me emails, jeremy@trueblueriffcast. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter @tbriffcast.
And I'm Dave, and I'm so happy. SugarRayDodge.com. Send me emails at dave@trueblueriffcast.com.
And we will see you guys next week right here on the True Blue Riffcast.
Bye now.
Rock,